And hello, welcome to Open, the show that opens the Bronx and the rest of the world right to you. I am Daren, Jaime, and today we'll update you on what's happening in and around our borough in New York City. Coming up, we'll delve into mental health empowerment and community engagement with a remarkable individual whose work spans multiple impactful domains. And then after that, we're going to talk about a film that's shining a light on the often overlooked challenges faced by young people in urban America. And next, we'll discuss why civic engagement, political mobilization, and policymaking are particularly vital for historically vulnerable Black communities. And then following that, we'll explore the practical aspects of transitioning to a whole food, plant-based diet and discover how small changes in your eating habits can yield significant health benefits. And lastly, we'll learn about one person's journey as an Army soldier taught her service, strength, and resilience, all in pursuit of the Miss USA title. So stay tuned because all this and much more is heading your way. Right now, we're officially open. And hello, everyone. I'm Daren, Jaime. You are now watching Open, a live program bringing the Bronx and New York City straight to you. We also want to welcome our viewers to the Manhattan Neighborhood Network, as Open is being broadcast simultaneously on MNN's channels. You can stay connected to us on all of our social media platforms at BronxNet TV. Well, some things have been going on throughout the past week. We'll take you through it with some Bronx updates. We kick off our show with health news. Montefiore Health System has opened the first outpatient pulmonary rehabilitation program right here in the borough of the Bronx. Our BronxNet reporter, Jonathan Calixto, has more details.
Please let me know on a scale of 0 to 10, how short of breath are you? 0 being nothing at all, 10 being completely out of breath.
0.
You're at 0?
Yes.
No shortness of breath right now? That's great.
No, I'm good.
That's great.
The first pulmonary rehabilitation program has officially opened its doors in the Bronx as part of the Montefiore Health System.
It's like family. It's like family here. They're really, really, really nice, especially Vanessa.
Virginia started coming to the program in March after being diagnosed with chronic obstructive pulmonary disease.
I have more energy. I want to come out more. Like before, I didn't want to do anything because of my I was afraid of my breathing coming outside and getting an attack. But now I feel good about it. It's nice.
For many Bronxites like Virginia experiencing chronic respiratory diseases or effects from long COVID, facilities were only available outside of the Bronx, but not anymore.
The Bronx, unfortunately, has not had access to pulmonary rehabilitation, although it has some of the highest rates of pulmonary disease in the entire nation. And there was absolutely no pulmonary rehabilitation available in the Bronx. You'd have to go to Westchester or to Manhattan in order to be able to access a program. And the wait list was also very long for those programs.
They love it. It's a place where they're coming and meeting people like them with the same diagnosis that they have. And, you know, they build a family, they build a community.
Now, patients build a family in the program, but also get the tools they need to improve their quality of life.
There's some seated machines, some bicycles, some standing treadmills, and then we do get everyone on weights, even if it's 1 pound.
With the services being provided here, Montefiore tells me their Wakefield campus location will triple the amount of patients they can care for, being able to see up to 1,000 new patients every year. Reporting from Wakefield for BronxNet, Jonathan Calixto.
And thank you, Jonathan. In other news, 2 years have come and gone, and the artists who bought you Echo Leaders, Stress, Quick to Rock, and many more new programs to BronxNet TV, well, they've officially graduated from the Creatives Rebuild New York program. Our very own reporter, Brittany Scholar, has more details. She brings it to us right now.
2 years have come and gone, and the artists who have brought you shows like #Stressed, Quick to Rock, Eco Leaders, and all of the new programming here on BronxNet TV have officially graduated the Creatives Rebuilds New York program. Let's check in with our artists.
I feel like we won the lottery, and I really hope that more people are able to win this.
In 2022, 10 artists walked through the doors of BronxNet TV with a dream project in mind. And with the help of Creatives Rebuilds New York's residency program, they made that dream a reality.
We've had something unprecedented at BronxNet, your open work and community media network, with artists from across disciplines, local artists completing 2-year residencies at BronxNet, creating new, original programming.
Most artists usually work on a gig basis, leaving them without steady security. The CRNY Artist Employment Program supports the artists for 2 years, providing them with a salary and benefits, allowing them to pursue their projects full-time.
How do you provide them with a safety net? How do you provide them with the wages that allow them to not only live and survive, but really to thrive?
This financial stability has allowed the 10 artists to produce projects at their fullest potential without having to worry about paying rent or where their next meal is coming from, which the artists say has been the biggest blessing.
Utilizing a format like this can further expand the thought and maybe navigate to new levels of performance, of engagement.
The artists have created a variety of programming for BronxNet TV, from its first ever scripted series and puppet show, stop-motion PSAs to video games, and virtual reality sets. BronxNet's Director of Programming, Bernardo Moronta, who served as project manager for the CRNY grant, says he's gratified at the exceptional projects.
All these shows, add to the diversity that we offer here at BronxNet with our programming, so they're really impactful, so we're really proud of them.
We asked the artists to sum up their 2-year journey.
We are grateful because as an artist, it's very challenging to sometimes get resources to tell the stories that you want to tell.
A godsend. It set me up for a brighter future financially.
One thing all of the artists can agree on, they've grown tremendously.
I've grown exponentially. I've created so many works of art.
We never thought we would be like producers of a TV show. We dreamed about it, but we never actually got the chance to make it happen. So we did grow, we evolved.
I found a lot of self-confidence in me as an artist.
Although the artists officially said goodbye to Creatives Rebuilds New York, their work will live on and can be checked out anytime here on BronxNet. Reporting for BronxNet, Brittany Schuyler.
And thank you, Brittany, and congratulations to all. That is all the time we have for our Bronx updates. We are taking a quick break, but guess what? We got more open when we return right after this.
Hey, creative family. My name is Timothy Coleman, and I'm the Director of Education here at BronxNet. And I'm standing in BronxNet's Media and Technology Studios in the South Bronx, because I want to let you know about an amazing program that we're bringing back that highlights the creativity of community members just like you. Emerging Media Makers is a show that introduces you to BronxNet's certified producers. They've taken a step in their creative journey by enrolling in BronxNet's media training classes. On this show, you'll get to see the many ways that our certified producers have created a space that's all their own. Emerging Media Makers, your passion lives here.
And welcome back. Our next guest is a certified mental health professional and the visionary founder of Conveaux, which is a company that's designed to empower community building through culture, solution-focused conversations, as well as some engaging social events. Now, Conveaux provides invaluable resources and tools to help individuals engage in self-work, as well as improving their relationship experiences. And joining me now is Danisha Baughan, and thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
When we talk about the power of conversation, I think sometimes we underestimate it, but there's a lot of power there, and you're helping people through the power of conversation.
Right, correct.
So share with us a little bit about Conveaux.
Okay, so Conveaux started back in 2016. It actually started in my living room, exactly what it sounds like, conversation, gathering people around and just, sharing dialogue and support around the same concerns that we had, which then was relationships, which still is relationships. So we gathered around to just come up with some solutions and have a good time. I thought it would be like just a simple Saturday night with my friends and family, but little did I know it turned into something greater. So by the time like 2018 came around, it became public. So I went from like a living room of 20 family and friends to a public venue of 75 people.
Wow. So I think a lot of times when people have conversations, we have conversations and we're just talking.
Yeah.
But the reality is that we fail in the area of solutions. You are solutions driven, right?
Very,
and
right.
if we're going to talk, we're going to have some solutions with
Right.
it, right? So how do we get to a place of having these solution-based conversations?
First of all, it's building that community. You find a community that actually wants to participate in these conversations and a community that's like-minded. So sometimes you have, you know, your platforms like social media, and that's where people like to keep their conversations. But then you have the people that want to come off of those platforms and have that interaction and get face-to-face and kind of have that up front and center dialogue and not just complain, like you said. We don't want to focus on the problems, but you find a community that wants to focus on the solutions.
And you've got a Connect app.
Yes, yes.
So tell us about the app.
Yeah, so the actual events, you know, it's never enough for people. You have these events, they want more events, they want more interactions, they want more engagement, and they want to keep up with what's coming up. So I decided to come up with the app, and I thought to myself, I'm like, if it was a little bit different from social media and it's more intentional and it's really connected to what Conveaux does in person, we can build an app where people could keep up with the events, keep up with the intentional conversations, and they could keep up with our upcoming engagements or anything new that we have going on, like our merchandise.
Right.
So they find the merchandise on there. And one of the most important things about the app, I have a game, a card game called Conveaux Cards. A lot of people kept asking, like, you know, we have the physical card deck, and they were like, if it was digital, you know, when they lose their cards, they have the digital version. So the app was my way to just provide the merchandise and the resources that people are looking for outside of the event.
We talk about the conversations. I'm always curious to find out, what are people really talking about these days?
Relationships.
Right.
Yeah, and relationship issues and gender wars. And then, you know, we throw in a little bit of politics and self-worth. There's a lot of focus on self, which I love it. Everyone is trying to find a way to heal outside of, like you said, you mentioned I'm in the mental health field.
Right.
People are looking for non-traditional ways to heal. So you have like those specific conversations that are going on, those areas that people are focused on. And when we have our events, that's what we focus on. But Conveaux finds a very creative way to bring about these conversations. We don't just sit down and have a conversation. We provide an experience. We provide an atmosphere that makes it comfortable to have the conversation. So when you're talking about relationships, you're doing something that you don't even realize is healing you and helping you continue to work outside the event.
As the founder and one who's, you know, the visionary behind this, you're seeing this thing take place and you're hearing people have these conversations. You're seeing solutions come to the forefront. Anything surprising you about the things that you're hearing?
It surprises me that sometimes we are still having the same issues, like over and over.
Right.
And we're having the same issues in different languages. It's like, you know, man versus woman, and we're saying the same thing, and we're saying it in different languages, but it's like we all just want the same answers. That's what always surprised me. I'm like, do you guys realize you're saying the same thing?
Right. So when you have relationships and we know marriage, one of the biggest things is communication, right? And having those conversations. You got a business of marriage event.
Yeah.
And for those people who didn't know, walk us through and the expectations there.
So it's funny because the business of marriage is really a play on words. A lot of people at first glance believe that it's about marriage, and it's not. It's actually what it sounds like. It's the business aspect. So the preparation, even before marriage, it's the preparation of self to even be in a sustainable relationship. And then it's exactly what it looks like. Sometimes we say marriage is work, right? It's a business, it's a contract. So what are like the components of that preparation for marriage or that contract to get you ready and in a sustainable marriage or relationship? So that's what the business of marriage is about, and it actually focuses on the financial aspect of dating, relationship, and marriages, and are you financially ready to take that step?
So for people who say, listen, this really intrigues me, I want to definitely find out more in terms of getting, being a part of this dialogue, what do they do?
First of all, they have to follow us on social media at Conveaux, Conveaux. Follow us, show up. Don't just, stay on the page and kind of watch. Come to an event. A lot of people's concerns when they come to an event, they think that they have to talk, they have to engage. Of course, it's more helpful if you do. But just being in the space sometimes is helpful. And by your third event, you'll find yourself arguing with people in the room.
Right.
Or just having a good time. But follow us, follow the website, subscribe to the email list, and just be present.
So here we are in 2024, you started 2016. How have things transcended for you looking at the journey right now from where you started to where you are right now?
It's grown in so many different ways. Like it started out with one focus, and then it just started to branch off into so many different areas. That's how Culinary Convo came about, because food and community and just dialogue over food.
Hand in hand.
Yeah,
Right.
and people were very drawn to that. The business of marriage, we're always going over financial literacy, being prepared for finances, and then we know the number one cause of divorce and breakup is finances, so that came out of it. And then each year it was just new partnerships, new collaborations that all were centered around everything under the umbrella of Convo. So it's grown a lot since then.
So what do you have coming up that people can join into? We talk about the fall. You got a fall event?
Yes. So this fall we are bringing back Culinary Convo. That's one of the favorites for people. Again, the food, the nutrition, the cooking, the talks. That's coming back this fall. And the business of marriage will actually be partnering with some local community organizations and financial institutions.
Well, we want to definitely make sure people get connected there and do that. For yourself, obviously, what's the greatest takeaway that you get out of this whole experience, seeing people come together, have these conversations? For you, what's the biggest takeaway?
The biggest takeaway is just seeing us get on one page, if just for a second. I love to see that. I love to see us just engage and, want to do the work. That's my favorite part of the takeaway, is wanting to do the work. And when I get the feedback from people, it's fulfilling. It makes me know that I have to keep going.
Right. Well, Danisha, thank you so much for coming and sharing, and continue success with Convo.
Thank you.
All righty. Well, listen, I want you to know, if you want more information, please follow her at, now is this, was it Danny?
Danny.
Danny?
Yeah,
I want to make sure I got correct now.
Yeah, it's Danisha, but they call me Danny.
Right. Danny _Bo @_, and then don't go anywhere, because guess what? We got more open coming up right after this. We are back. The film Behavior offers a profound exploration of mental health as well as the pressures faced by youth today. Set against the cultural tensions between the Haitian and Dominican communities, this film brings to life the intricate relationships and personal battles of its young protagonists. Here now to share more, we've got filmmaker Wanly, Florexile, and thank you so much for being with us, Wanly.
Thanks for having me.
When we talk about Behavior, give me the inspiration for why you wanted to come up with Behavior.
For one, I wanted to make a movie where we could speak about the subject that we as black folks, especially me being Haitian, like we seem to not talk about often. Like mental health is like something, Haitians especially, they don't talk about that. Like let's just say your child is supposed to go to special ed, your Haitian parent, if let's say a teacher or principal, whoever, speak to the parent and say, hey, listen, your child having a little problem and they should go to no, my kid ain't going to that, because you know. But then again, it kind of like backfire on the person, because that same child could have got the help maybe they could have got since they were younger.
Right.
So I'm like, you know what? I'm in my, I don't know, 8th film now. I
Mhm.
said, let me work on something that, you know, us black folks don't really like to really focus on. So that was my whole thing, to make this movie Behavior.
And we have this tension about mental health in the community. It's getting better.
Yeah,
because
yeah,
more and more
definitely.
people are definitely talking about, you
Oh, yeah.
know, mental
Mhm.
health and acknowledging the challenges that exist. But your film is bringing to light definitely the tension and also the aversion to say, listen, you know what?
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that necessarily don't want to. How do you look at, and how did you choose to deal with the mental health component in the movie?
Well, I kind of, the character especially, I showed that, you know, he was dealing with it, and the parents was just too focused on their marriage and stuff that they were going through. You know, the spouse is cheating on the other one. They weren't like they put the kid in to get help professionally, but it was just like, all right, go Kevin, go get your help. But they weren't finding out, like, you know, speaking to the counselor to see what's the progression, nothing like that. So it was one of those where I wanted to focus. I definitely, like you said, the conversation has gotten better over the years. So I wanted to put this movie out to put some more light on it.
Yeah.
You know?
And there's a lot of community struggle and resilience in there, right? I mean, you know,
Yeah.
the struggle is real, but then the
Yeah.
resilience is real also.
Exactly.
How did you go about showing that to those persons who actually see the film, this issue of like, yeah, struggle, but also resilience?
Yeah, for sure. You know, like, I try to make the characters like both ways, you know. I show where the parent want the kid to go get the help, and then also, you know, one parent didn't want to bother with that, like you said, you know, like the father was opposing it, like, no, you know, like, my kid, they'll learn in the streets.
Right.
But then, you know, I show where the mother was more into it, like, yeah, let's take the kid to get the professional help that they need. So I kind of show both ways, you know.
Yeah. And we were talking in the last segment about just conversation, right? And when we talk about mental health, that's a conversation that a lot of people aren't having, but we, as we said before, are having. What's the conversation that you want people to have about behavior?
I want moms and dads, watch how your kid behave. Go on their phone, especially if they're teenagers. I got 2 teenagers myself. See what because they may be one way at home, but in school they totally different. So just pay attention to your kid, because you never know. You know, like, they could be one way with you, and then meanwhile they go in school and they're totally different, shy, and, you know, not speaking to anybody. Like, so it's like, just be on top of it, because last thing we need is another shooter.
Yeah. And you talked about making a film. This is your 8th, right?
Yeah.
And so for yourself, this ain't the first rodeo. You've been doing this for a minute.
Yeah.
And you've had some great influences. Talk to me about the people that you talked about that really have influenced you from a filmmaking perspective.
Well, I mean, I have my colleagues, you know, we have this little friendly competition that we have. We like to push each other. So for me, like, doing this movie was more of a, it was like something, you know, in the basket that I had to just complete, you know, like, because most of us is focused on the drama, because drama is gonna sell anyway, you know. So it was like, push myself, you know what, I could make a movie like that. So we just continue to push ourselves. That's all it is.
Yeah. And so I know that you also been influenced by, like, Spike.
Oh yeah. Spike, man, come on, that's the GOAT right here. Yeah. Spike.
What is it that you appreciate about Spike?
Me personally, I just like his cinematography, like the way he zoom into characters sometimes if you're saying certain things. You know, I like the way he directs and his storytelling. So Spike is definitely one of those heroes that I appreciate as a director.
And what do you see in Quentin Tarantino? Because I know that's another one.
Yeah, that's another my guy, man. Yeah, you see, the thing is, these 2 guys, they shoot totally different, but it puts me in between. Like, Quentin Tarantino is the guy, like, the conversation he has and on scene between two characters, they'll go on forever. They'll talk and talk. Where Spike is less talk and more cinematic. But yeah, these two guys, how you know, man?
Listen.
I like those two dudes.
Yeah. So let me ask about this here, because when you talk about having these two guys, Tarantino, Spike Lee, you're the filmmaker. You walk in and watch a film. How much of the film do you get to enjoy as opposed to, I'm actually watching it, critiquing it, checking it out?
Yeah, I like to watch them twice. Like, I like to watch it first as a regular audience. And then the second time I like to watch and see, where can I get inspired by, or what can I see where maybe I was doing something wrong that I should do better. So yeah, that's what I like to do. I like to watch it twice so I could, have both sides.
So first time you just really getting the information. Second time you take it to where I can apply it in my own.
Definitely.
Is there a particular type of film besides behavior? I mean, because you're stepping out of the box when you do behavior.
Yeah.
Is there something else that you want to really tackle in addition to say, I haven't put my foot in this yet, but I can see me doing this next?
I think I touched them all, because right now, we got this movie that actually just dropped 2 days ago, Life of a Zoe, and it's totally different from Behavior. If you watch Behavior, you would never think it's the same person that's behind it. Life of a Zoe is totally different. It's about insurance fraud, it's about betrayal, and, killing. 2 Haitians came here, 2 little kids, and then one of them went that way, the other went the opposite way. So, I mean, I dabble with different things.
Right.
And I think the only genre I haven't touched yet is horror.
Okay.
And I don't really like horror, so I'm going to just stay out of it.
You see?
Yeah.
I got you. So, Wanly, for people who want to check it out, right, how do they go about seeing Behavior?
Behavior is actually in the film festivals right now, so it's going to come out, I would say, in the next couple months. It will be on Tubi and Apple TV. But right now, you guys could do is go watch Life of a Zoe. That will help a lot. And I promise you guys are going to like that film. It's really good.
Wanly Florexile, congratulations, brother. Good to have you.
Appreciate it.
All righty, listen. Now, if you want more information, visit the website, flowfix.app, and then follow him at Instagram at Wanly101. Encourage you, don't go anywhere. We got more open coming up right after this.
19.7% of Bronxites currently experience food insecurity. Meanwhile, instead of these nice, colorful foods, this is the best food that they have access to. If this sounds like you, there are a bunch of resources to get healthy food for free or cheap. If you want to help, you might consider donating or volunteering in one of these places. Community fridges like this one are all over the city and allow New Yorkers to conveniently donate extra food to people who might need it. Go to this link and find your nearest one. Food banks and pop-up events like these provide millions of healthy meals to families in need. These organizations are distributing meals to Bronxites as we speak and are always accepting donations and volunteers.
Well, welcome back. Amidst a pivotal election season where the stakes couldn't be higher, understanding civic literacy paramount. Why is knowledge so critical? Well, as we navigate a news cycle fraught with challenges to democratic institutions, what lessons can we draw about the media's role in preserving integrity? Joining me now is the founder and director of the Civic Literacy and Media Influence Institute at Learn for Life, Charles D. Ellison. And Charles, thank you so much for being with us. And thanks for having this conversation, and it's a very crucial and critical time to be having this conversation.
It really is. No, thanks for having me.
Yeah. Good morning. And so when we talk a little bit about civics, let's just get our audience up to speed. For somebody who may not be so familiar, as we talk about civics, how do you define it?
Yeah, civics is the process of governance. It's how we understand also governance. It's how we understand how various government functions work. It's the social contract, contributing to the common good, of course, knowing the difference between the levels of government, the different branches of government, and how they interact, the executive, the judicial, and also the legislative branches of government. And so that's the literacy aspect or part of it that's so crucial. Or knowing the different levels of government also in terms of state, local, and federal, knowing the difference between your state capital and the U.S. capital, or also knowing, how your city council works, right? So that's all civics, just governance and how all of that functions and understanding that better, and how you also, as a citizen, as a person, as a resident of the community you live in, how you contribute to it. One last point here, too. It's also understanding civics is you. Civics is the people. You know, we're the government.
Right. And we hear the word all the time, all politics is local, right? We've heard that before. Right. But when it comes to engaging from a civic perspective, that's not always the case. When people look, they think that, hey, something in regards to the federal has no real connection to what's going on right here at your doorstep. And like I have conversations with others and say, hey, listen, you know, you need to pay attention to what's happening here, because what's happening here consequently will end up at your doorstep. The importance of civic literacy in a time such as this, how do you gauge it?
Right. Civic literacy is so important because civic, or high levels of civic illiteracy, Daren, you know, created an environment by which people become demoralized and disengaged, and then suddenly they don't want to participate in these very crucial systems and foundations of governance. So the less literacy we have means the less engagement, less political participation, fewer people voting, and then suddenly you have that foundation of governance breaking down. So in a critical election year like this, it's really important that there's maximum voter participation so you get the kind of outcomes that you need. That's what I'm constantly instilling in my fellows at the Civic Literacy and Media Influence Institute at Learn for Life. You know, telling them about how you need to connect those demands that you're making, those protest demands, with politics, you know, identifying those individuals or identifying the energy within yourself to run for office, or identifying those candidates who are most aligned with your demands or most aligned with your interests. And then once you get them elected, then producing those policy outcomes, getting that legislation or those bills passed, and that all equals an outcome. You see what I did there? That's right. That mathematical formula that P plus P plus P equals that O, which is the outcome. That's how civics works. And so, you know, when you have lack of civic literacy, that leads to lack of civic engagement. And then that essentially, that starts deconstructing this republic we've built.
Well, I mean, we can talk about this next question I'm gonna ask you for like 3 shows, 4 shows, but we talk about the media and news and the impact and the influence it has in the civic realm, right? There's a lot of information, misinformation, disinformation. How do you unpack that so that people can become better civically conscious?
Right. People have to understand that media creates the storyline and the narratives, right? Media has very just outsized influence over how politics, how policymaking works. A lot of that's for the better, but as we're seeing, especially in the environment that we're in, a lot of that can be for the worst as well. It can be very destructive, especially when you layer social media on top of that. And when we look at mainstream media, we have to understand, you know, the more civic literacy we have, we start understanding how mainstream media is a business. And as a business is trying to create those exciting storylines and that level of gossip to get more people watching and being glued, have their eyes glued to the news on a regular daily basis so they can get those ratings, they can get those hits, social media platforms included, to keep people engaged so they can keep their shareholders happy and keep those profits rising. You know, we're seeing this with social media, keep that traffic going. And, you know, that's how you build a business. That's how you keep that platform alive. But what's happening here is that all these storylines and narratives create an environment of disinformation. And the more civically illiterate you are, the less you understand how government works and how all of that's interconnected and the role that media plays in that, the more naive you are, you know, in a moment, in a critical election like this, the more gullible you are and the more disengaged and demoralized you are. And then so we have like a high level of folks out there who either are, one, unlikely to vote, which is not good because we just got, especially us as a Black community, we just got the right to vote 60 years ago. So you have a huge population of people who are unlikely to vote, or you have a huge population of people out there who are going to vote, but making the wrong decisions, making the types of decisions that go against the need for a democratic republic or the need for a representative democracy.
Yeah, Charles, stay with me on this one here because you mentioned the black community. Let me go a step further. We know that numbers are very critical to come out to be able to vote. A lot of people in the last election were paying attention to certain urban centers, whether that was in Pennsylvania or Georgia. We knew that those urban centers where their communities, where their brown communities, really made a difference in the last presidential election. That brings to light the question: how do you engage more people in communities of color to become more civically engaged, given the fact that there is disinterest, given the fact that you've got disinformation, given the fact that you've got all these factors that are rising up against being civically engaged? How do those on the inside really attract those from outside who are outside the bubble?
You know, first, and thank you for the question. First, there will need to be a better, stronger bridge between the grass tops and the grassroots. The grass tops being our policymakers, our influencers, our community leaders, our grassroots obviously being us as the people, those folks in the field, on the ground, people in the community, the residents, the constituents. So, you know, bridging that connection. Two, we need our pillar institutions in our communities to now step up the same way they did when they were living through Jim Crow. And then we came into that civil rights moment, which was the perfect combination, the perfect expression of that mathematical formula that I just shared a moment ago. The P plus P plus P equals zero, equals O, right? So we need our pillar institutions like our church, like our Divine Nine, like our HBCUs to really step up in a moment like this and encourage our young people and other people, other generations too, to become empowered, to feel empowered, and to become more engaged. To let people, the third step here too, is as those institutions are stepping up, you know, is to just let people know that they are the government. We are the government. We are the ones to make the decision, the ultimate decision to select those individuals, those special individuals. They're not elite, they're not above us. They are our representatives, but to select them to carry out our demands, our ideals, and also what's in our best interest, what's our common good, right? And so, you know, letting people know that can really have a profound influence and impact on people, especially young people, especially people in our communities. When you let them know, hey, you are the government, you make that decision. And here's a fun way to go about exercising that is just by voting.
Charles Ellison, thank you so much. Got to leave it there. Great conversation. We definitely got to come back and talk more about this. Thanks much.
Hey, thanks so much. Take care.
Alrighty. Now, for more information, you can visit the website at thebnote.com and then follow him on Twitter or X at thebnote. Don't go anywhere. We got more open coming up. I guarantee you'll be healthier right after this. All right, listen, I want to tell you, we want to welcome you back to the show. Now, research indicates adopting a plant-based diet can actually aid in weight management, actually reducing the risk of chronic diseases such as diabetes and heart conditions, and even contribute to a lighter environmental footprint. Our next guest, she's here to discuss the importance of a plant-based diet, And joining me now is plant-based nutrition health coach and owner of CB Health and Wellness, Dr. Cecilia Basbus. And guess what? If you said you saw her during the COVID years that we were like Zooming, well, guess what? We don't have the opportunity to Zoom anymore. We are here in person and we get to experience it all. So, Dr. Basbus, good to have you.
It's good to be here again.
All right, so let's first talk about this, the importance of a plant-based diet. When somebody asks the question, what is a plant-based diet? How do you define that?
So a plant-based diet is like a vegan diet, but better. Why? Because we stay away of all the fats, all the fried, all the sugars, all the processed foods, and with that, it helps you just prevent any chronic diseases, and also to revert or even like cure a lot of chronic illnesses, like high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, and you want to stay out. And also, the most important thing is that when you continue in age, then you stay away of medication. So you don't like see yourself like on 50 years or 60 years and then you'll be having like all these pills. You'll stay away from pills, which is great.
And so for people who don't know what plant-based is, obviously there's a lot of ways that you go about doing this here, and we got some ways that we can show people.
So this is a very, very easy thing to do. So we're going to do a Buddha bowl today. That is something that you can have all these ingredients in your refrigerator. And also we're going to do some pickles, some onion pickles. So once you have all of this in your refrigerator, then all you have to do is just put it together and you just do it in like 5 to 10 minutes.
We're going to get there in a few seconds, but I want to talk about diet. Everybody talks about diet.
Yeah.
Now the key is maintaining it. And a lot of people say, hey, you know what, I've tried and I failed, and the importance and how to really maintain a long-term diet. How do people go about doing that? Because a lot of people fall off the wagon early.
So if you fall off the wagon, it doesn't matter. You just have to jump in again. Okay, so that's the main thing. Because people think like, I started and then I couldn't do it. Just come back to the wagon. And then the thing is, every week do a change. Start incorporating something new, a vegetable, a fruit. Start like doing new recipes that you've never done. Just go to the supermarket, get a new fruit or a vegetable, and then create a new recipe with that, and then try it. And you'll see that all these flavors that you've never tried in your life, it's gonna start to like be good for you, and you'll be like sensing all those nice flavors.
So we're gonna give people an opportunity to try their well, not their own recipe, but a recipe, right?
A
recipe is the Buddha bowl.
Yeah.
And so the Buddha bowl has what ingredients here?
So a Buddha bowl has a base of leafy greens. So in this one, we're going to put some lettuce and some cabbage and also some kale. And then we have like the protein that we're going to use today is going to be tofu, which has been air fried. So it has no oil of any kind. And then we're going to do some quinoa that also has protein. And then we're going to do chickpeas, which can come directly from a can if you don't want to do it. Then we're going to do some sweet potato, also air fried, so no oil in that. Tomatoes, some pickled onions, and also we're going to do the fats that come from avocado. So we're going for the good fat, not the bad fats, okay, here.
Okay, real quick. You said good fat, bad fat. Go ahead, talk to me real difference.
So what we want is like we stay away from the oils, all that it's processed. So an oil comes from an olive, right? Or some other like different types of oils. But we don't want to press it. We're going to try to stay away from that, especially canola oil, which has a lot of bad things. So stay away from that. So try to use the good oils, the good fats. So we're looking for monosaturated and polysaturated. So those are the good ones that comes in vegetables and in fruits, right? So we're going to do that with avocados. Okay.
So how do we go about putting this together here?
So the base, like I said, it was like the leafy greens. And then we're going to do some quinoa. Here we have 1 cup of quinoa. So the idea is you cook this one time and then you just leave it in the refrigerator. That you can just keep for almost a week. Okay?
The quinoa stays good for a week?
Yeah.
Okay.
Then we put a cup of the chickpeas. Right? Like that. Has a little bit more. 1 cup of the sweet potatoes. Just like that. The idea is to have a lot of color, like I always say.
And meanwhile, it's not taking you a whole lot of time really to prep and get this done, right?
No. This, you just do it once. put it all in the air fryer and just keep it in the refrigerator as is. Some tomatoes, just put it here. Just give more color.
Benefits of the air fryer. Yes.
You stay away from the oils.
Right.
Some of this. I'm gonna put it here. Wait. I don't want to touch it. There you go. Just like that. And then this one that is the tofu.
Right.
We're gonna put some Japanese barbecue sauce. This is an easy way just to put some flavor.
Okay.
Now, if you want to do a sauce with some tamari, like a black sauce, then you can do that. But if not, you can do some of this. It's like a sweet kind of sauce. Or you put it in the air fryer, then you just put a small amount like that, and you mix it.
Okay.
And then it gives like that nice barbecue flavor. Just leave it a little bit so it marinates. Then you put it in the end. And then we're gonna do the pickles. So the pickles for this, it ends up like something like that.
Right.
We're gonna put it here.
And what are the benefits of having pickles? Because I hear people say, oh, I'm out of pickles.
Pickles are really good, but it just gives you that crunchiness that you always want, right? So for that, we're gonna put here, so it's just one red onion. We're gonna put some hot water into this, and we're gonna let it sit for around 2 to 3 minutes, right? Let's put a little more. Put it like that. And then we're gonna do the brine. Here we have some vinegar and some apple cider vinegar here. A quarter of a cup of each. Then we put some water, some hot water too, around half a cup. And then you can use a little bit of brown sugar if you don't have maple syrup.
Right.
Right? So here it has like a 1 tablespoon of maple syrup. And we put some peppercorns. Okay, like that. And then, wait, here. And then we mix it. Okay. And once a couple of minutes has passed from here, the hot water, it takes away the bitterness of this. And then once this, you let it sit for a couple of minutes. This, you put it like that inside here.
Okay.
Just like that. Remove the water and just put it in here. And after 24 hours, it becomes this. And this, you can keep it for a week or more.
Right.
Or 2 weeks even.
Are we finding more and more people really moving towards a plant-based diet these days?
A lot, yes. Because usually when you go to the doctor will tell you, hey, you need to change your diet. You have to stay away from animal product because your cholesterol is high, you have hypertension, or you're like have a lot of weight that you have to lose. But they just tell you, okay, you have to just eat more vegetables and fruit. So nobody knows how to do that. So yes, they want to change, but they don't know how. So that's why sometimes they just come to me.
That's right.
Yeah.
And tell people how to come to you. Where do they come to you at?
So I do have a wellness center in East Harlem in 119th Street and 2nd Avenue. So for all the upper part of the city, they can just come walking. And if not, it's easy to come. And then in there, we have programs to switch to plant-based nutrition, which could be progressive or it could be cold turkey. And which is a little bit different and harder, but we also
very hard, very hard.
It's all here. It's on your mind.
It's in my mind. Well, it's in my mind to get to a plant-based diet. I don't know if we're ever gonna get there, but it's in my mind.
You can. And you also can do it learning how to do different types of recipes, which we have cooking classes for that.
Dr. Cecilia Basbus, our guest here, talking about the plant-based diet and the Buddha Bowl. Very good looking here. Now, more information, visit the website, CeciliaBasbus.com, and we encourage you, please don't go anywhere. We got more open coming up right after this. And welcome back. The reigning Miss Michigan USA wears many hats, or should I say crowns. When our next guest isn't competing on the pageant circuit, she's proudly serving her country as an active duty Army soldier. This summer, she hopes to add the title of Miss USA to her impressive list of achievements. Joining me now is Second Lieutenant Alma Cooper. And Lieutenant Cooper, first of all, thank you for your service and thank you for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
And I gotta ask the question. I mean, it's kind of like you don't really see military, then you see Miss Michigan. Talk to me about the balance between both. How do you balance out the military and then also the pageantry?
Well, I think it's rooted in my family. I mean, I watched my father serve 24 years in the Army as an armor officer, and I watched my mother grow up to be a Division I track and field scholarship runner and athlete, and then now work for the state of Michigan and give back to vulnerable and marginalized communities. So for me, I've had two incredible role models of service, and I think, you know, balancing so many different opportunities and endeavors really I honed in on the skill of time management while a cadet at West Point. And I think that's really helped me in this phase of my life and of my career where I'm preparing for the Miss USA stage while also continuing my studies at Stanford University.
And talk to me about competing on the Miss USA stage or trying to prepare for that. What's the preparation like, and how do you, how do you take the time to be able to prepare, even though you've got your military duties?
For sure. I mean, I think a lot of my preparation has been in giving back to my community as well as running. I love running. I love physical fitness. It helps with my mental well-being. It helps with balancing so many different endeavors and opportunities in my life. It just gives me an opportunity to not only fill my cup and balance myself mentally, but then also physically train and be able to work out and maintain my physical fitness as an Army officer. So for me, I think that, you know, the journey to prepare has been very smooth and very rewarding because I know that I get to give back in a different way. I think that my service and competing on the Miss USA stage is only an extension of my service in uniform as an Army officer.
For yourself, the message that it sends, what do you think that it sends as a lieutenant and now, you know, the pageantry for somebody who's coming up? Because growing up, some people thought, I can only do this, I can only do that. Here, you're making the best of both worlds.
For sure. I'm a firm believer that if you can see me, you can be me. So for me, the biggest takeaway I'd love for someone to have about learning about my journey from to getting to the Miss USA stage to being an Army officer is that really whatever sets your soul on fire, find ways to chase that dream and chase that passion. Because for me, I found that leading with a heart of gratitude and a heart of service has been so rewarding for me as an individual, but it's also developed and forged my character in ways that you can't really find anywhere else. I mean, the Army is an incredibly unique place full of amazing people. The people that I met at West Point, whether they be my professors, mentors, or classmates, have been a form of community for me in my endeavors as a Stanford student and now getting ready to compete on the Miss USA stage.
Yeah, and so what's the emotions like knowing that you're competing on that Miss USA stage? I mean, we see the emotions of what it's like to win Miss Michigan, right? But the Miss USA stage, obviously, that's the goal for so many people, and for you, you're right there.
I mean, I ultimately am just so overwhelmed with gratitude. I cannot explain how grateful I am for this opportunity and how surreal it feels to represent an organization like the Army that truly has changed my life and left such a broad impact on my life and my ability to be here today. I mean, I wouldn't be at Stanford earning my master's if it wasn't for the graduate scholarship program at West Point. I mean, the mentors that I've been able to connect with and build relationships upon have really poured into my life and poured into my career. So I'm just overwhelmed with gratitude. And to get this experience to compete at Miss USA is a dream come true. I mean, I've wanted to compete since I was a little itty bitty girl. Right. So to have this dream fulfilled at 22 years old is really meaningful, but also it's bigger than myself. I mean, beyond the cameras and the dresses and the glamour, I mean, to me, it's really about serving. It's about serving in a different form and giving a voice to those who often go unheard. And for me, I'm really passionate about food and nutrition in this country and for soldiers and their well-being. So at West Point, I had the opportunity to research body mass index and health. And for me, getting able to continue that at Stanford and continuing on the note of nutrition and health has been really fulfilling as well. So I'm just really excited and really overwhelmed with gratitude.
Yeah, a lot of rigorous study, a lot of rigorous preparation for both the military and then also for Miss USA. And we know that it's very competitive. We know that it's very challenging just to get to the Miss USA stage. For yourself, how much does that Army, training kick in for the place that I'm like ready to do the training, or I should say the work for, Miss USA? How much of that, preparation do you bring to the table?
I think that my experience as a cadet at West Point and even connecting with service members on campus at Stanford, the biggest thing that I've taken away from just my short time in the Army so far is just a deep sense of discipline, motivation, and overall community that's shared amongst service members and amongst soldiers in the Army. For me, I just am so grateful to have learned so many lessons and forged so much of my character at West Point that it's allowed me to really rely on that and know that I have a strong foundation of moral fortitude in my character, and hopefully use that as a guiding principle and a guiding compass really in my path to competing at Miss USA.
And so what are the long-term goals and aspirations that you have?
I mean, I can only hope that I continue to lead with a heart of gratitude and find ways to dedicate myself to service. I'm coming up on my second year at Stanford. I just finished my first year of my graduate studies. And so upon completion of my second year, I will go to my basic officer leadership course for my job in the Army. And I just think that I'm so grateful to have been able to have this experience as a grad student at Stanford and hopefully give back in my education to the Army as an Army officer.
Well, I want to congratulate you. I think you're doing an awesome job. You're representing the state of Michigan, but then also you're representing the United States of America. And I want to thank you so much for your service again, Lieutenant Alma Cooper, and she's here with us. And congratulations and good luck as you head towards Miss USA.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
All righty, Second Lieutenant Alma Cooper. Now, if you want more information, visit the website at goarmy.com, and definitely we congratulate her on the work that she's doing. Stanford University, Miss USA, multi-talented, and certainly a face that we'll be seeing in the future. We come to the end of our show today. Want to thank all of our guests for joining us, and also all you viewers for tuning in. Now, if you missed any part of today's show, yes, you can catch Recablecast. It comes on Optimus Channel 67. Verizon Files says Channel 2133, or watch us anytime on the web at BronxNet.org. You can, of course, watch a brand new episode of Open with Rena Valentine on Friday. This wraps up this episode. I am Daren Jaime saying make sure you keep this channel wide open, saying take care and God bless.